Let's bring in Senator Bill Haggerty from Tennessee for more on this. Senator, you probably heard some, at least, of what Ambassador Jacobson was saying, that the message that's coming from the Biden administration is that the border is closed, but that we are opening up more legal routes to migration for these children who otherwise might make the dangerous journey from the Northern Triangle countries up through Mexico. Again, I said to Sandra, I said, she's playing long ball here. She's not playing short ball. What is all of this going to do to change the situation on the border as it is today?
Well, John, first, thank you for having me. And I think what we've got at the border is a crisis. Yet President Biden has gone 50 days without having a news conference. He should hold a news conference right now and call this what it is. This is a crisis at the border. It's a crisis of his administration's own doing. I sent a letter to the White House, to President Biden, asking them about the immigrant protection protocols, the so-called stay in Mexico protocols. That would have made a tremendous difference if we'd held those in place. It dramatically decreased illegal immigration by 75% after it was implemented. And what we've seen right now is a complete crisis that's taking place at the border. I think that he should come in front of the American people and talk about near term, as you say, what's going to happen here.
Now, the ambassador did say that the message that they are trying to send is that the American border is closed, which clearly it isn't, because 100,000 people crossed it during the month of February. But she said that the cartels, they're trying to put out two messages. The border is closed, but we're going to open up new legal routes to migration. She said, but the smugglers, the cartels, are only sending one message, and that is a contrary message, that the border is open. Which message is winning at this point?
Well, clearly the latter message is winning, and the cartels are winning out. And by what's happening today in the House, they're going to offer a $1,400 per person bounty for those people that cross the border. Again, the Democrats are putting forward a policy that would put those checks in the hands of illegal immigrants. That's creating all the wrong incentives, John, and that's the type of thing that's going to make this crisis even worse.
Yeah. Senator, do us a favor if you can hang around there in the Russell Rotunda with us for a little while as we kind of bounce back and forth through our coverage here. If you can do that, we'd appreciate it. We'll come right back to you in just a moment. Sandra?
Okay.
Sandra, let's go back to Senator Bill Haggerty from Tennessee for more on all of this along the border. Do you expect, Senator, and again, this necessarily was not her bailiwick, but do you expect anything that Roberta Jacobson said today will diminish the flow of migrants across the border that we're seeing right now?
I do not, John, because the message has been sent loud and clear. They've halted all construction on the border wall. Again, as we spoke about just a few minutes ago, they're creating new incentives for illegal immigrants to come across the border. They haven't given us any answers. Certainly when I reached out to the White House in a letter to ask them what their plan was, are they going to give these people work permits? Are they going to test them for COVID? Are they going to vaccinate them before they vaccinate Americans? There's so many unanswered questions, but there are a lot of incentives that are creating this. They're driving this crisis from the White House. It's a crisis of their own doing.
Yeah, you know, we have the new numbers for February ahead of their release. 100,441 people. It's expected to go up in March and then again in April and May as we hit the peak here. One of the other reasons, Senator, why we brought you on was you're offering up an alternative or competing bill to H.R. 1, the For the People Voting Act. It's called the Protect the Electoral College Act. What's your problem with H.R. 1, and do you think it has any chance, H.R. 1, of passing in the Senate?
Well, John, if you like the way the Democrats are handling border security, just wait till they get their hands on election security. This so-called For the People Act is another typically misnamed act here in Washington. It should be called For the Politicians, because what it does is it allows the Democrats, if it were to pass, to federalize our election system. You know, the Constitution is very clear. In Article 2, Section 1, state legislatures have the sole responsibility for setting the election laws. Those state legislators are directly responsible to their state's voters. What happens in this bill? They want to take all that away. They want to incentivize, again, a lot of dangerous behavior. Internet registration, no photo ID required, automatic felon voting. One of the things that concerns me the most is the ability for people to ballot harvest. In fact, paid ballot harvesters will have unlimited bounties to go out and harvest ballots. It's going to create a lot more concern about the election at a time when we need to be creating more confidence in our elections.
Yeah, and your bill would restrict states from receiving federal money for election security if they don't allow the legislatures to control what's going on. If if they were to allow executive orders or court orders or whatever to control the elections as opposed to the legislatures. But again, back to the question I asked you. Do you think there's any possibility of H.R. 1 passing the Senate? And if so, how would that happen?
Well, not as long as the filibuster stays in place, because I cannot imagine a single Republican going for this effort, which is really just a complete power grab by the Democrats. They've taken control of the executive branch, the legislative branch. This is their effort to make it permanent, to go to a single-party system.
So the only way this would happen is if the Democrats were to go nuclear. Have you heard any suggestion of that?
I've heard some chipping around at the edges, but we're looking to Senator Manchin and to Senator Sinema to keep to their word to maintain the filibuster. Think what this will feel like on the other side. They don't want to be in this situation either, and it would remove any chance of having bipartisanship. So my hope and my expectation is that it will not change. That as long as the filibuster rule stays in place, this will not become law.
You also joined, along with Senators Marsha Blackburn, who we're going to be talking with in our next hour, and several other senators, in sending a letter to the CDC director, Michelle Walensky, after 4 researchers that the CDC was ostensibly relying on wrote an op-ed in the USA Today saying that the CDC did not follow their guidance when it comes to school openings. What are you saying about that, and what do you want to know?
I think the CDC should be listening to the researchers, not to the teachers' unions. And what we need to do is let them follow the science in this case. Look, our kids need to get back in school. We're losing a generational problem here we've got with our kids not being in school. This is going to be extraordinarily tough for us to recover. We need to get our kids back in school. We need to get our parents back to work. This is going to be tough on our economy, but it's tough on individuals too. Yeah. A lot of kids are in a tough situation at home. They're in homes that, frankly, aren't that safe. We need to get them back to school.
All right. Senator Bill Haggerty of Tennessee, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.